It's April 18, 2023. I'm Todd Dunn, and today I'm in Barnard, Maine. I just came out to do a little bit of walking around, not much, to kind of strengthen my leg where I had the knee replacement. So, where am I? Well, this is Barnard, Maine, on Bass Harbor. That's the harbor here, and the village on the other side of the harbor. And so I'd show you what this looks like in April. As you can see, there are plenty of boats in the water here. Now, there's a service barge over there, but pretty much all the other boats are lobster boats. And there are a lot of what are called lobster floats out there where lobstermen store traps and other gear. And then here I'm walking down right next to the boat ramp out one of the dinghy docks. And we'll walk out here onto the dinghy dock and have a look. You can see a few dinghies here. These belong to lobstermen, and they use them to get out to their boats to go fishing. And the only non-lobster boat I can see is this little boat right here, and that boat belongs to the Tremont Harbor Master. So and I'm sure one of the dinghies here is his. And over there you can see a few more lobster boats. Now I don't see, I see one dinghy out there on a float, which suggests to me that there aren't too many people out fishing today, and the ones that have been out are probably back in for the day. If you look in the distance, you can see a crane down there. That's on a barge, and they are working on the Maine State Ferry Terminal for the ferry that goes over to Swans Island. And so there's not much going on here today. This is a buy truck here. They buy lobsters from fishermen when they come in. And so we're going to walk a little bit more around here and just see what things look like. See, it's pretty quiet here, and there's not much going on in the harbor. The dock over there, where there are 4 lobster boats and that barge, is Up Harbor Marine, which is a small privately owned marina here in Barnard. So we'll go up a little and say my leg feels going up this little hill. It's about the only up and down I've been doing is stairs, but I definitely feel it. While we're out walking here a little, well, take a look at some homes. You can see some of the people here value their views of the harbor, have added onto their homes. A little tower up there, and some small cottages. A lot of these are probably summer cottages right here on the harbor. And so there's Bass Harbor from the Barnard side. Let's walk out the town dock and see what's going on out here. Yeah, there's one lobster boat coming in. They'll probably come up and tie up alongside the dock and sell their lobsters to the buy truck. And a bunch of other lobster boats here, and docks with lots of traps on them. And that's about it. Sorry about the wind noise. It is a little breezy here today. It's warm, it's around 50 degrees, but with the breeze it feels a little cooler. The water here is still quite cool. Okay, there's that lobster boat. And a bunch of some other lobster boats in here, tied up. So not too many people out fishing now. I don't see any dinghies other than that one just past the blue lobster boat out there, which is the one we can see from the other view. So, and I'm betting that that may well be this guy here, particularly if he makes a turn and heads over this way. Well, he is turning. Not sure where he's going though. The harbor here has a lot of shoals in it, and you do have to know where things are when you come into the harbor here in Bass Harbor. Once you get past the town dock especially. And you can see some of the shoals over on the far side of the harbor past all the lobster floats, or lobster cars as they're often sometimes called. That area dries almost completely at low tide, so you do not want to go over there. Okay, I'm back in the car up above the town dock, and we're headed out a little bit further just to see what there is out here. A lot of houses, and many of these homes are summer homes. And not all of them, but a few are. Particularly the waterfront homes. They're very expensive, even here in Barnard, Maine. Okay, we'll just go up here a little, and I'm going to turn around and head back. Some nice homes here, right on the harbor. Okay, here we go. I'm pretty sure these are probably summer homes, but it's hard to say. As I back up a little. Not much in the way of a place to turn around if you come down here. This place has at various times been a business and a home. Last time I was over there, it was a business and they were selling telescopes, which is kind of interesting. So now we'll go past Thurston's and have a look at it. Thurston's is a lobster restaurant, Thurston's Lobster Pound, right down here. The building with the yellow awnings. However, I have to say that none of their signage is there. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if maybe they just took it down to redo it for over the winter or what. But there used to be signage right here on the side of the building saying what their menu was and other things. But there's nothing now, and their parking is completely filled with lobster gear. I am going to go with Thurston's has simply taken their signage down to rework it. Because it's one of the most popular lobster restaurants on Mount Desert Island, and it is always packed. So I can't imagine that they would have shut down. But I'll do a little research when I get home, see if I find anything about it. Well, here we go. We're back to the road that goes down to the town wharf. And we'll come out here and we'll drive through Barnard to show you what the town looks like. Now, the only public water access in Barnard is at the town dock, where we started this video. And also there is a seawall beach out Locust Point Road, which we'll pass in a minute. We're not going to go out there today, because I suspect, given how breezy it was at the town dock, they'll be pretty breezy and a little unpleasant for filming there. So here we go, back through, and this little brick building here. Turn the camera in a second. Right here is the Bass Harbor Public Library, and it's very small. And although I've been in there a few times, I don't think I've ever checked a book out. And we just passed the post office. There is a post office here, as well as the post office over on the Bass Harbor side. You can see, oh, it's just homes, and there really isn't any water access up here except private access. Also, the harbor this far up does pretty much dry out at low tide. And you can see there's not a lot of commercial activity over here as we continue back out to the main road, which is right up here. And I'm just gonna make a quick turn, and we'll run out just a little bit further to have a look at a couple of other things. Okay. All right. Now this is Route 102. It goes up the west side of Mount Desert Island. Right here on the left is Bass Harbor Boat, which is a boatyard that caters to wooden boats, but they'll do work on anything. And they have storage and also do maintenance. And just continue out here a little bit further and have a look at one other business. Somebody's got a little flag. And just up here, we're going to come to the Classic Boat Shop, which is started out as a boat builder. It's right here, Classic Boat Shop. They haven't been building too many boats lately. They have a number of buildings. You can't really see them from the road, but they've really expanded their storage business. They specialize in storing boats up to the low 30-foot range. And they are see if I can get out of here. And they build a beautiful little day sailor boat called a Pisces 21, which is a variation on a Herreshoff fish as redrawn by Chuck Payne, one of the main yacht designers. I believe Chuck is pretty much retired now, though. Okay. And other buildings like this one belong to lobstermen who keep their boats in their shed in the winter. And we'll come back down past Bass Harbor Boat again. They built this storage building a few years ago, and their main shop is right here in this brown shingle building on the left, or on the right, sorry. And so here we go. We're going to head back into the village of Bass Harbor when we pass the extreme northern end of the harbor, Bass Harbor, which is right here As you can see, it is dry, almost dry, because the tide is almost out. And now we're in Bass Harbor. So, an interesting aside, I do look at real estate out here periodically, just out of curiosity. And as of the last time I looked, about 2 days ago, there is a grand total of 1 house for sale in Bass Harbor. It's changed a lot since I first came here, when there were quite a few homes for sale, but now it's just 1. See, any house with a bunch of lobster traps in the yard probably belongs to a lobster fisher. And similarly, if they have a lobster boat in the yard, good hint that they're a lobster fisher. Now, lobster fishing is a pretty big deal here in Bass Harbor and Barnard. This is where the main part of the Mount Desert Island lobster fishing fleet operates out of. There are more lobster boats operating out of Bass Harbor than just about any place else on the island. Southwest Harbor would be a close second. And there are very few leisure yachts in Bass Harbor. Right here, this used to be a lumberyard, and now it's the location of one of the little temporary or summer-only lobster restaurants on the waterfront behind the buildings. And we're going to head across here. And the white stuff you can see there is shrink-wrapped boats that are in storage for the winter. This is an inland storage yard, and that gray building is their main maintenance building. They do store a lot of smaller boats and trailerable boats. And we got some chickens here to deal with. And you have to wonder why they are crossing the road, or not crossing the road, as is the case with this one. Come on! I don't know where it's going to go. I got to be very careful. I do not want to run over somebody's chicken. Especially not if it came from where I think it did, because I know that guy. He's a friend. And he wouldn't be a friend if I ran over his chicken. Okay. Now we're over to Route 102A, which is the primary road through Bass Harbor, the village, which is on the east side of Bass Harbor, the harbor. So it's pretty complicated over here in terms of exactly where you are. And right up here, we're going to see the one house that is for sale. And that is this white house right here. This is a high tide waterfront house. When the tide is high, they have waterfront. When the tide is low, they have mud. And it's priced accordingly. I think they're asking $800K for it. So, as we head through Bass Harbor, here's a view of the harbor from over here. And there is essentially no public access to the water here except at the main state ferry terminal, which is out here. We'll go out Shore Road. This is not the same Shore Road as I was on the other day in Southwest Harbor. Just a popular name for roads along the shore here on the island. And a lot of small homes here. There used to be a house that was gradually falling apart here, and It finally collapsed a couple years ago, and that Airstream trailer has been sitting there since. And nice little homes here that are on the water. We're going to go out by the ferry dock. Now there is a town dinghy float at the ferry dock, but the disadvantage of that as a public access is that there's no place to park unless you pay to park in the state lot out there, right across from the ferry dock, which is quite expensive. So here we go, and we'll go over and have a look. There is the ferry dock, and there's the crane that's working on it. I don't know what they're doing. Probably just driving some new pilings. And this is the waiting area. This ferry goes over to Swans Island, which is most of the land you see over there on the far side, about 5 miles away. And also 3 days a week, I believe, it runs to the village of Frenchboro. We'll turn around to the parking here. This is parking for ferry customers. And I don't think they charge in the winter. They may or may not. It's hard to say. They certainly don't have their sign up. But in the summer, it's quite expensive. I think it costs $10 to $15 a day to park there in the summer. And it's always full. But that's the only place you can park out here if you wanted to take advantage of the dinghy float that is next to the ferry dock. Okay. All right, now we're headed back in. The brick building there is the old Underwood Cannery, which is now a condo development. And here we go, down past some of the old cannery workers' homes here, and the former country store, which is now a museum. And the Seafood Catch restaurant, which I'm sure they'll be getting ready to open up pretty soon, within the next 3 or 4 weeks. And now we'll head back out, and I think with that I'm going to end today's video. It was a bit of a walk around over at the Bass Harbor Town Dock in Barnard, or actually it's the Tremont Town Dock on Bass Harbor in the village of Barnard, if that makes any sense to you. And then a look around Barnard a little bit. So, hope you enjoyed having a look at the waterfront here and some of the villages around Bass Harbor, Maine, on the southwest corner of Mount Desert.